I started as a fundraiser almost 25 years ago. It was my very first job out of college. I worked for my liberal arts alma mater, and I was very fortunate because I had a college president who said to me, just go out and make 300 face-to-face visits this year. And so I did. I was 21 years old. I got New York City. I had to cover New York City, and we were raising money for a new science building. It was 1988, and so I was, walking around the streets of Manhattan meeting with alumni with big hair and the shoulder pads and the briefcase. I had the blueprints in my briefcase, and I just threw myself in and started making calls. And probably 150 visits in, I remember so clearly sitting there saying, I have got to get a new job. Fundraising's awful. I can't stand this. And I remember walking back to my little nonprofit-sized hotel room, and I sat down and thought, what else could I do? I'm an English major, maybe I can get a job in advertising or something. But as I sat there, I had this epiphany thinking something is not adding up for me, because I know every person with whom I'm meeting wants to make a difference with their lives and with their money. And I know they care about education and science and the leaders of tomorrow. And I know that what I'm doing as a fundraiser is helping them make that bridge between what they care about and the actual work in the world. So why is this so hard? And I realized it was because I had this power dynamic was happening where I felt like whomever I was calling on or inviting to participate had the power because they had the money, and I was the supplicant. And so I went in the next day. I remember so clearly, I called on a banker named Peter, and I just shifted the conversation away from me feeling like I was trying to sell him on anything, and just started to have a really real conversation with him about what he cared about, what mattered. Why did he care about liberal arts education? Why did he care about science? And from that day on, I never ever felt like I had to go into a meeting. And by the way, I've made probably 6,000 face-to-face visits since then. I never felt like I had to go into a meeting and sell somebody. It's always been since then this approach where I feel fundamentally that people want to make a difference, and that I can be the conduit to that. And whether it's health, education, the arts, poverty eradication, it doesn't matter. It's where can you leverage your resources. And by resources, I never just mean money. I mean people's time, creativity, their networks, their ideas, their passions, and of course their money in support of the work that they want to do. Get really scared about just letting our guard down and being really human and authentic with each other. And when money is at the center of a relationship, often we feel like we have to be especially guarded, and this hierarchical sense of the world starts to invade our ability to really partner. And I think one of the things that I've spent my career doing and my life doing is just breaking down those barriers. From the very first time I meet someone, one of my goals is to sit down and say, can I connect human being to human being? So when I teach at Harvard, one of the first things that I do is I have a case that I put out there where somebody goes into a potential philanthropist's office, they make a quick sales pitch, they show a PowerPoint presentation, they make an ask, and they leave. And I always ask the class, what happened in that at the conclusion of that meeting? And people always say the same thing, and by the way, they see themselves in that scenario, is there was a nice transactional gift, but the seeds of a relationship weren't planted because you didn't in any way connect human being to human being. You were connecting from a consumer perspective. So our work is so much more powerful if we can remove that buyer-seller dynamic, and we can actually allow our passion for making a difference together shine through so that you can authentically explore. Morpheus really embodies someone who fully knows what he wants in the world and is fearless about getting it, but in the best sense of that world. And so he just navigates the world in a way that's not clumsy or where he sees obstacles. And in that scene that was especially captivating for me, it was an early scene where Neo hadn't quite seen the fact that we're not separate, that we're all the same. He was very much in his own, he was in his head, and he was operating from a much more intellectual level. And so was getting stuck in fear and in resistance. And just like resources, this ability to overcome resistance and allow what is inherently happening in the world to happen is what exponential fundraising is about. One of the interesting ones that's actually on my blog is Joey Ito, who's the new executive director at the MIT Media Lab, said that he got the job because he loves fundraising so much. And he, at the Media Lab, started to shift from calling his donors or members partners and really started to look at them as actual partners. So it moved from this transactional relationship where the companies would give money and the MIT Media Lab would potentially give some student resources and things, to really sitting down and collectively looking at how can we move this organization forward? Why does it matter? How are we as partners really a part of the solution? And that's different, because in most instances, if you keep your philanthropic partners at arm's length, there isn't that, we just don't give them opportunities to get involved in that way.